Hello traders, welcome back to the channel and a new educational video. Today I'm going to make a quick one just talking about someone that I always like to look for when we have the New York Open in the futures market, specifically that I like to trade in the ES or NASDAQ, okay? And this has to do related to the session times, specifically the regular trading hours or the New York session start, okay? So first, let's do a little recap of what the futures trading sessions look like. Okay, so as you know, the futures markets are specifically ES and NASDAQ run for 23 hours a day. There's only one daily pause between 5 and 6 p.m. Eastern time. So what we have is first the daily open at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Then for the first 2 hours, volumes are very, very low. But then at 8 o'clock, we have the main Asia market opening, Tokyo market, for example. And from 8 p.m. all the way to 7 a.m., that's when we have the main Asia market activity. At 3 a.m. in the morning Eastern is when the London and Frankfurt markets open in Europe. So this is where we start getting a little bit more volumes and more volatility coming in. And then this entire area right here, pretty much from 6 p.m. up to 9:30 a.m. Eastern, this is what we call extended trading hours, okay? And then at 9:30 a.m., we have the New York market open. And so from 9:30 a.m. up until 5 p.m. is what we call RTH or regular trading hours. And you can see this first 2 hours that I highlighted here from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Eastern. This is when we have the maximum for me, the 2 hours with the best liquidity and the best market movements that we have with that big injection of volatility that we get, okay? Once Europe markets close at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, then we just continue with the New York market all the way until 4 o'clock, which is when the stock market opens. And from 4 to 5, we have what's called the after hours, which is where you can there's still action going on, especially when we have like company earning reports, news announcements, etc. that come after the market hours, okay? And then at 5 o'clock, we have the close, okay? So, but the main thing to capture or to know here again is that we have the two main sessions in the futures market. So now we go into my charts. This is a 3,000 tick chart on the ES market. And as you can see, I have the two sessions here highlighted. So I have here in the profile with the blue edges, this is going to be the extended trading hours, 6 p.m. to 9:30 a.m. And then from 9:30 a.m. all the way to 5 p.m., this is going to be the regular trading hours. And you can see, obviously, there's this is a tick chart, so it's based on the trading activity, and there's going to be a lot more happening in the regular market hours. So the pattern that I want to talk about today, it's very basic, and that consists of when we see the New York Open go and raid or do a false break above or below the high or the low from the extended trading hours range, okay? This is a very common occurrence where we have the market will break above the high and then very soon after or almost immediately come back in, and then we're going to have a strong reversal in the opposite direction, okay? So we're going to go through a few examples and just talk about this pattern that I always aware of and looking for if it presents itself. So here, just to draw a quick sketch of what this would look like, it's basically we would have our extended trading hours, and let's say that the market open pushed down and we have this range during the extended trading hours. Then we have the start of the regular trading hours, and then market would open here and we would have an impulsive move up and then a quick move down. So we just break above the high of the extended hour range, and then market comes down, and then usually we can get a very nice continuation or impulsive move in the opposite direction. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to go necessarily all the way to the lower edge of this, but it will give some kind of opportunity for a pullback. And once we get back inside of the range from the overnight extremes, then it's very clear that your invalidation or your stop loss would basically go beyond the raid or the false break that we had, and then your take profit obviously will be based on different levels on the depending on the market structure, volume profile levels, etc. Okay, so let's go back into Sierra chart and let's go look at some examples. And like I said, this is not a setup that is going to happen every day, but it will happen. It does happen fairly often. So all I'm looking for is just one of these profiles to open up, and right at the open, we either close above or raid the higher low of the overnight. So if I just start going back here on the charts, you can see recently we really haven't had it. Like in this example, this did happen here. We did raid below the low from the overnight, but this happened at 10:03, so it's already been more than half an hour since the open. So I don't really consider this. I always like to see this happen within just a few minutes right after the open, when we really get that high volatility. Okay, so right here we have our first example. We have the overnight, so this was the overnight low, overnight high, and then you can see the market had a push down. We came back up, and right here at 9:37, I would say if this happens within the first 10 minutes, then that's ideally the time range that I'm looking for this to happen, within 10 minutes of the New York Open. You can see we literally exceeded it just by a tick, and that gives us an opportunity to pull back here, and then we came all the way back down into the bottom edge here, the low volume node support from the extended hours high volume node there. So that's one example we have right there. If we keep moving back here, here we have another example. We had the overnight closing here near the highs. So this was the extended hours high, and you can actually see we had 3 different retests at 931, 942, 949. Okay, but this first one, for example, the 931, I mean, it didn't give us that much of of a follow through in the beginning. We basically came down to this previous low of this swing low here, but then you can see this level actually kept holding, and then we did have a massive breakdown, and we were failing to be able to strongly close above the overnight high. If I keep moving back, here's another one. We had the overnight high, overnight low, and you can see right here at 935 the market pushed up. We just wicked above the extended hours high and then closed back below. We actually started chopping here, but then eventually we did have the breakdown, which took price all the way down pretty much into this area of support that we got during the extended trading hours session. If we keep going back, here you can see nothing happened. Here's another example, and this is actually one of the best examples that I have, because we had the raid, but then we also had a lot of different components lining up and some nice price action patterns. We had an extremely bearish overnight session, as you can see. Huge move down. Then when regular trading hours started with New York, this was the overnight low. We had the high volume node here from the overnight, and you can see we pushed down below the lows of the overnight, consolidated a bit, went right back into it, and then we actually came back down and started holding this level, and we just put in a very, very nice over under pattern where we had the left shoulder here, then the head pattern there, and then a retest of the left shoulder level for a bullish action pattern right near a low volume node support area as well, right at the lows from this high volume node that we had on the overnight. Okay, so right here again, we just came down, rated the lows from the overnight, recovered, and then we have a big squeeze to the other side. Then here, nothing here. Here's the other example. And again, I'm just going back each day, and you can see already how many examples we've had of this happening. We've been making all-time highs, so that's the main reason why most of the examples are happening on the top areas or the top ranges. Here we have the extended hours high, and then right at the open, we have the push up above this overnight highs. Strong move to the downside. And then right here, this previous little support that we had right here at the open. If I zoom in, this support and VWAP, we fail, and then we backtest VWAP, retest this broken support, now resistance, and then we start pushing down. So again, a false break of the overnight high. Here you can see we almost had it, but we didn't quite actually break. We didn't really break the low of the overnight, but this would have been a very nice setup. If we would have wicked below here and then gone back up, that would have been another really great setup. Okay, but overall, I just encourage you all to go into your charts and start looking for this to occur. When you have your extended hours, mark off or be aware of the high and the low. Look where market is when New York opens relative to that higher low, and then look for a break above below, and then a quick reversal, and then look for a continuation or at least a quick scalping opportunity to capitalize on a move back inside of the overnight range. Okay, that's pretty much it for the video. Hope this has been insightful. Take care, and I will be seeing you all soon in the next video. Take care.